Have you ever felt like college is a door you just can't afford to open? You see your friends getting acceptance letters and planning dorm decorations while you're staring at the price tag thinking, how on earth do people afford this? Well, what if I told you there's a way to cover college costs, even when federal aid and scholarships fall short? But hang on. Before you sign anything, there's a detail most people miss about private student loans that could cost you thousands. In the future, let's make sure that's not you. Stick around. Because by the end of this video, not only will you know how to apply for a private student loan, you'll know how to do it smartly, step by step, without falling into a trap that too many students regret years later. Number 1. Understand what a private student loan is. Let's start with the basics. Private student loans are borrowed from non-government sources, like banks, credit unions, or online lenders. Unlike federal student loans, which are backed by the USA government, private loans are more like personal agreements with a lender. Think of it this way. Federal loans are like government-subsidized cafeteria meals. They're cheap, basic, and reliable. Private loans are like ordering from a fancy menu. You get more flexibility, but it can cost way more if you're not careful. For example, Sallie Mae, Discover, and Citizens Bank are well-known private loan providers. You apply directly with them, and the rates, terms, and approval decisions are based on your credit score, income, and sometimes a cosigner's credit. Number 2. Know when to consider a private loan. Private loans should never be your first option. Only consider them after you've explored grants, scholarships, work-study, and federal loans. Why? Because federal loans often come with lower interest rates, income-driven repayment plans, and forgiveness options. Private loans don't. Let's say your tuition is $25,000 per year. You get $15,000 in grants and federal aid. That still leaves you $10,000 short. This is where a private student loan might come in. But again, use it to fill the gap, not cover the whole bill. Number 3. Check your credit and consider a cosigner. Here's where a lot of students get stuck. Most 18-year-olds don't have a long credit history. That's why private lenders often require a cosigner, someone like a parent or guardian with solid credit and income. Why does this matter? Because the better the credit, the lower your interest rate. Let's break it down. If you apply a loan and your credit score is 640, your interest rate might be 13%, but with a cosigner who has a 750 score, you could get a rate closer to 6%. That difference could save you thousands over the life of the loan. Number 4. Shop around before you apply. Never, ever take the first offer you see. Different lenders offer different terms, and it pays, literally, to compare. Use online marketplaces like Credible or NerdWallet. You can pre-qualify with multiple lenders without impacting your credit score. Look at interest rates, repayment terms, fees, and benefits. For example, some lenders give you a discount for autopay or allow you to release the cosigner after a certain number of on-time payments. Others might charge application or origination fees. Compare all of it. This isn't like buying socks. This is a multi-thousand-dollar decision. Number 5. Choose between fixed and variable rates. This one sounds technical, but I promise it's simple. Fixed rates stay the same over time. Variable rates change with the market. If you like predictability and budgeting, fixed is your friend. If you're planning to pay off the loan quickly and want to start with a lower rate, a variable rate could save you money, at least in the beginning. But beware, variable rates can jump. Imagine starting with 4% and ending up with 10% a few years later. Unless you like financial roller coasters, fixed is usually safer. Number 6. Understand the repayment options. Private loans don't come with one-size-fits-all repayment plans. Each lender is different. Some let you defer payments while you're in school. Others require small interest-only payments. Some ask you to start full repayment immediately. Here's an example. Let's say you borrow $8,000 with a 7% interest rate. If you defer until after graduation, that interest keeps adding up, and your loan balance could balloon to over $9,000. But if you pay just $25 a month while in school, you could save hundreds by graduation. Small actions now make a big difference later. Number 7. Get your paperwork in order. Once you've picked your lender, you'll need to apply. This part isn't hard, but it's detailed. You'll need your name, social security number, and date of birth, your school's name and cost of attendance, financial aid information, how much you've already received, loan amount requested, employment and income info, if applicable, cosigner info, if you have one. The lender will then do a credit check and verify your info. Once approved, they send the loan to your school to be certified. Yes, your school has to sign off and confirm you actually need that amount. This step is called school certification. Only after that will the funds be disbursed. Number 8. Don't borrow more than you need. This is huge. Just because you're approved for $20,000 doesn't mean you should take $20,000. You will pay back every single dollar you borrow, plus interest. Here's a simple rule. Borrow only what you must to cover tuition, fees, books, and essentials. Not spring break in Miami. Not late-night pizza every weekend. Treat this money like future you is going to pay it back from their first job, and probably their second. Every dollar you don't borrow is a dollar you don't have to repay. Number 9. Watch out for sneaky fees and terms. Some lenders advertise low rates, but hide fees in the fine print. Always read the terms. Look for origination fees, late payment penalties, prepayment penalties. Yes, some lenders charge you for paying off your loan early. Others bury fees in the repayment terms. If a deal looks too good to be true, it probably is. Always read the entire loan agreement. And if you don't understand something, ask. It's your money and your future. Number 10. Think beyond the loan. Have a payback plan. It's easy to focus on just getting the loan. But what about paying it back? Use a student loan calculator to estimate your monthly payments after graduation. If you plan to work as a teacher making $40,000 a year, taking on $80,000 in loans might not be realistic. Let's say you borrow $30,000 at 7% over 10 years. Your monthly payment will be around $350. Can future you handle that? Build a plan now. Know what career you're aiming for, what you'll likely earn, and how student loans fit into that puzzle. This is your real-world math. Number 11. Bonus tip. Watch for cosigner release options. If you use a cosigner, you're probably wondering, do they have to stay tied to your loan forever? Good news. Many lenders offer cosigner release after you make 12 to 36 on-time payments and meet certain credit and income criteria. That means you could free up your parent or guardian from financial responsibility after a few years of solid repayment. Not all lenders offer this. If it matters to your cosigner, check before you apply. It can make a big difference in your family's peace of mind. Number 12. Be aware of interest accrual while in school. One big difference between federal and private loans. Interest may start building immediately, even while you're still sitting in class. Many private lenders do not offer subsidized interest. That means your loan balance grows even if you're not making payments. Let's say you borrow $10,000 at a 9% interest rate during your freshman year. By the time you graduate in 4 years, you might owe close to $14,000. That's without spending a dime of that money yet. If possible, pay even a small amount of interest while in school. Even $20 a month can reduce the financial storm that waits after graduation. Number 13. Understand how disbursement works. So how does the money actually get to you? Most private lenders send the money directly to your school, not to your personal bank account. The school will use it first to pay tuition, fees, housing, or meal plans. If there's any money left over, that remainder is refunded to you. But don't go wild with that refund check. If you don't need it for school-related expenses, send it back to the lender. Less borrowed equals less owed later. Number 14. Always review your loan disclosures. By law, private lenders must give you something called a truth in lending disclosure. This document explains the full cost of your loan over time. It includes total amount borrowed, interest rate, estimated monthly payment, total cost with interest. Don't ignore this paper. It's not just a boring form. It's a crystal ball. It shows you exactly what this loan will really cost you in the long run. Don't treat it like spam mail. Read it, understand it, ask questions. If anything feels confusing, number 15, set up autopay and stay organized. Most lenders offer a small discount, usually 0.25%, if you sign up for automatic payments. That might not sound like much, but over years, it adds up. It also helps you avoid missed payments, late fees, or damaging your credit. Set reminders. Create a folder, digital or physical, where you keep all loan documents, approval letters, and repayment schedules. Being organized now makes adulting later way less painful. Number 16. Don't ignore refinancing opportunities later. Once you graduate and start earning a regular paycheck, you might qualify to refinance your private student loans at a lower rate. Let's say your original loan had a 10% rate. After 2 years of steady income and good credit, you may refinance down to 6%. That could cut your monthly payment or help you pay off the loan faster, but don't rush into it. Refinancing federal loans into private loans usually means losing benefits like deferment or forgiveness, so this only applies to private refinancing. Time it right, and it could save you thousands. Number 17. Learn the consequences. Of default, private lenders do not play around with missed payments. If you miss even 1 or 2 payments, your loan could be marked as delinquent. Keep missing them, and you default. Unlike federal loans, private lenders can send your debt to collections fast. That means constant calls, a destroyed credit score, and even wage garnishment. It's not fun, and it can haunt you for years. If you're ever struggling to pay, call your lender right away. Some offer temporary hardship or forbearance options, but only if you ask. Number 18. Understand the difference between APR and interest rate. A lot of beginners confuse these two. The interest rate is just what you're charged to borrow the money. The APR, or annual percentage rate, includes the interest plus any fees. If 2 lenders offer the same interest rate, but one has a much higher APR, it means they're sneaking in extra costs. Always compare APRs when choosing your lender. It gives you a clearer picture of the true cost. Number 19. Think about your future major and career before borrowing a large amount of money. Ask yourself, will my future job allow me to repay this loan comfortably? A $100,000 loan might be manageable if you're becoming a software engineer, but not so much if you're entering a field that starts at $28,000 a year. It's not about passion versus money. It's about making informed decisions. Try to match your borrowing with your likely starting salary. If your total loan debt will be more than your first-year income, pause and think twice. Number 20. Don't assume all private loans are the same. Different lenders offer different perks. Some have death and disability discharge. Some allow deferment during grad school. Others offer rewards for good grades. One lender may be great for undergrads but terrible for graduate students. Another may work best if you attend a 2-year college. The point is, don't assume. Explore, compare, ask questions. Get curious. That's how smart borrowers are made. You've just learned the full path to applying for a private student loan, from knowing when to consider one, to choosing your lender, to planning your repayment. But here's the final twist. What if there's a smarter way to avoid needing private loans altogether? What if next week's video showed you how students are getting creative, graduating debt-free, and still getting the same degree? Would you want to see that? Let me know in the comments. Are you planning to take a private student loan, or are you trying to avoid it completely?